Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Your home for all content Marvel Mystic Mayhem. This is going to be the second video about Alliance War. The first video we did in the research stage where we basically took the information that they gave us and broke it down, but also tried to interpret some of the more, not so interpretable text about what things actually meant. And I think now that we're in the confrontation stage, I think we basically got everything right about how this was all going to go down. So in this video, I basically want to talk about some numbers. I want to talk about the nuance. I want to talk about some alliance strategy that you might be able to employ. Some heroes that can maybe solo the central horror here, provided that you've taken out the right Dream Cyclone, and some just general talking about alliance war type things now that we're in the confrontation stage. So as you can see, my alliance has taken down the first Cyclone, and this was the Cyclone that the enhanced effect was essentially this 20% stacking damage. And I explained in the first video why I thought it was important that we take that one down first. I think that basically ended up being the correct decision. I hid my camera because I wanted to show you that we are at 72% on this particular Dream Cyclone here. And let's see, does it show you the actual... It doesn't actually show you. I feel like I have a hard time getting to the actual effects of the Dream Cyclone once we're not in the research stage, but that's fine. I believe that this one was that the effect itself is that it reduces healing by 50% once you get into the second phase. And then I believe the enhanced effect is that you cannot apply any debuffs to the Twisted Giant armor once you get into that second phase. So we're working on that one. We're at 72% there, but you can see that we're at 34% on the Twisted Giant armor. So basically the way things work, as I'm sure you're aware if you're watching this video, right? You initially get into the confrontation stage. You get 3 sanity points, which are shown up in the top right there. You can't, oh, there it is. You couldn't actually see my cursor. And you have to take down 1 Dream Cyclone before you can attack the Twisted Giant armor. I really recommend that you do all of your levels here on Nightmare. And so the way that you go from normal to Nightmare, so the left icon here puts you in normal, as you can see from the normal mode here. If you click on the right one, that puts you in Nightmare. And so you can see 40 pins here, 50 pins here. What that means is if you do all 3 on normal, you get 120 pins. And if you do all 3 on Nightmare, you get 150 pins. And it takes 4,500 points or pins to be able to clear 1 Dream Cyclone. So what that means is you need 30 people to complete all 3 levels on Nightmare to complete 1 Dream Cyclone, and 38 if you're all doing it on normal. So there's a little bit of a difference there. I really do recommend that you do everything on Nightmare. And I recommend, if you don't have a wide roster, that you take advantage of the support, right? So every single battle here, you can use one of your alliance members' characters as a support, provided that they've already cleared this particular level. So you do need some people with a little bit of a wider roster, ideally 12. And then you can use their supports to get you through the rest of these. In which case, if you do not have a wider roster, you only need 8. So if you're gonna do everything on Nightmare, you need 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, and then 3 for the central horror. But if you're using supports, then you obviously only need 8. So we suddenly got the need to have a wider roster than just having 3 and then 6 for Superflow Challenge, and then now 8 to 12 for Alliance War, which came out of nowhere. That's fine. It's good that we now have use for wider roster. I'm going to recommend that you save your best heroes, obviously, for the central horror. The Nightmare mode for these particular Cyclone battles is really not that bad. You can clear them usually with just kind of a mishmash of characters. It's not that bad. In contrast to the central horror, especially with just 1 Dream Cyclone down, it's actually pretty difficult. And so you need to make sure that you are saving your best heroes for the Twisted Giant armor. And what I would recommend is if you are somebody who maybe missed out on doing the first Dream Cyclone with your alliance, and you have 4 sanity points now, and you are on the second Dream Cyclone, prioritize spending your first your first attack on the Twisted Giant armor. Get your best heroes in there. So speaking of that, with the confrontation stage, with the numbers I just laid out, 30 to clear Dream Cyclone on Nightmare. That means you cannot clear 2 Dream Cyclones in one confrontation stage. This next confrontation phase will start on Sunday at reset, in which case you'll get an additional 3 sanity points here. And actually, it might be 4. 3 to 4 sanity points there, depending on if you've cleared a Dream Cyclone or not. And your characters that you used in a Nightmare mode will then be reset. So that happens on Sunday. It's not tomorrow. You don't get reset on Friday. It will happen on Sunday. What that means is that you should be focusing on the Twisted Giant armor now, especially if you've cleared 1 Dream Cyclone, right? You clear 1 Dream Cyclone, that's the best you're going to be getting in this confrontation stage. You need to be focusing on the Twisted Giant armor. Unfortunately, if you chose a different buff than I think this one that we cleared here, that basically the enhanced effect was this 20% permanent stacking damage, I think it's gonna be pretty rough. But we can talk about that maybe in a bit. One thing I want to mention is that there is an incentive for you to, as soon as Alliance War starts, the confrontation stage, there's an incentive for you to be doing it as soon as possible. And the reason for that is that basically the first, I believe, 3 are going to get sort of a time-based reward, Alliance reward for clearing the Dream Cyclone. So everybody got this reward for clearing the Dream Cyclone, right? And this is actually, the Alliance War is a pretty good source of Alliance credits, which I'm very happy about. You get a Dream Core, 500 Alliance credits, a purple artifact, 10 combat sims. That's good. But if you were in the top 3, then you get this, right? So this is basically the resource for re-rolling your unique artifacts, another 500 Alliance credits, right? And a sealing spell. And so we've been wondering where these were coming from until recently. But basically, you use a sealing spell to lock a particular stat when you're re-rolling a unique artifact. So this is how you're getting sealing spells. You have to be in sort of the fastest to get to the level of points. So let me go back here and emphasize this again. When we are first clearing the Dream Cyclone, it's 50 for each Nightmare level, right? So the first 250 points, the first 3 basically got that sealing spell. It might be top 5, I'm not sure, but you want to, as soon as it turns over, you want to be doing it as fast as you can against your Alliance members, because that gives you a sealing spell and you get an additional 500 tokens as well, right? That's a big deal. Once that is done, you want to get your whole guild to focus on killing the Twisted Giant armor here. Some sort of nuance here and some things that I think are worth knowing is that the support characters that get chosen to be used by your other Alliance members are at random. So I think I used Invisible Woman, Iron Man, and Captain America, right? It chose Iron Man for me. And that Iron Man is now going to be the support character for every other person in the Alliance that is attempting the Twisted Giant armor, right? So characters that I think are, ones that you should save for Twisted Giant armor: Invisible Woman, Captain America, Armor, and Juggernaut. Armor and Juggernaut have the potential to solo the Twisted Giant armor, again, provided that you took out that 20% stacking damage Cyclone like our Alliance did. But shields are the key here. I really think that shields are really what does it. You need shields and you need a little bit of DPS, and that's okay. That's basically all you need. One other thing is that you also have no time limit, right? So the time-based rewards are for when your whole Alliance takes out the Twisted Giant armor. It's not for how long it takes you to take out the Twisted Giant armor. So if it takes 6 minutes, if it takes 7 minutes, that's fine. If it's slow and safe, that still gets you, the clear that you need. Okay. So I'm not actually sure you can switch between normal and Nightmare. I think it's only Nightmare for the Twisted the central horror here. And each clear by a member takes the armor down, the health down, excuse me, the HP by 2.5%. So what that means is that you need 40 people in your alliance to clear the central horror to make sure that it's done. This can be done in the first phase. So it would go, you clear the first Dream Cyclone. Once you clear the first Dream Cyclone, everybody who cleared it, actually everybody in your alliance gets an extra sanity point. You can use that one extra sanity point to attack the central horror hurricane. I will note that if you didn't attack the Dream Cyclone, you end up with 4 sanity points. That does not mean that you can attack the central hurricane 4 times. You could only attack it once, but everybody gets that extra sanity point that they can use on the central horror. What they should not do, and what some people mistakenly did, is then attack the second Dream Cyclone with that sanity point. Everybody should be focusing on the Twisted Giant Armor Central Horror, clearing it if they can. We have had people clear it solo with armor and Juggernaut, basically. And as a result, we have people who support character is Juggernaut or armor, and so we kind of lucked out in that way. We have nobody whose support character ended up being Invisible Woman, which is crazy. But if you select, we have a guy whose Juggernaut can basically solo the Twisted Giant Armor. So that is, I would say, the 4 heroes that you need to prioritize in attacking with Twisted Giant Armor if you have them, so that if you have members that don't have that sort of roster, they can use that character as a support and clear the Horror Hurricane as a result. We're still working on this. Once you clear it, then you can basically challenge it for extra points or whatnot. I think there might be a leaderboard here somewhere. There's a leaderboard for support and whatnot. I want to find... Yeah, okay. So this is the first and only guild that has cleared everything so far. The top 100 get those extra awards like I talked about in the last video. And you should be aiming for this, because if you get in the top 10, 600 gems is really good. That's really nice rewards. So if you are trying to be competitive, you want to make sure that you are pushing that. And making sure that your guild is on the same page to push this particular boss. It can be done with a little bit of effort, and it can be done on the first confrontation stage. I do think you needed to have, cleared this first Dream Cyclone with the 20% stackable damage. If not, when it rolls around to reset on Sunday, I think you probably have to focus on not clearing a second Dream Cyclone, but putting an additional attack into the Twisted Giant Armor and getting it down as fast as you can. All right. I think that's basically all I want to cover. There's a little bit of nuance on, it's 2.5% per Nightmare Challenge attack, 4,500 points for each Dream Cyclone. The good characters are Captain America, Invisible Woman, Armor, and Juggernaut. And most of that is because of the shields that they provide, and that gives you a little bit of survivability, both because you don't get stunned from the knockback, and also because in the second phase, right, there's 50% reduced healing, and shields don't count as healing, but they basically act as healing, and so you just get that additional survivability there. There's no time limits, so it's just about making sure you clear the boss more than anything. So we've had a number of people, maybe 5 people, just basically have Juggernaut or Armor, set it on auto, they come back 7 minutes later, and it's done. So try that out, although I really am not sure I can give you too much advice if you've got the stacking damage, because that's just going to take you out. Support is going to be basically a crapshoot based on what character the game decides you should get to put on there. I got Iron Man. I don't think that's very useful, but I think in some of the other places people were using my heroes there. Moving forward, I think this means you should be trying to bring up 12 people on your roster. You should be aiming for 12. You can do 8 if you have support, but the support, who it chooses can be pretty finicky. And if you only have 2 people you're using and you have to fit a third, and you want that third to be a specific role, then that's going to sort of limit your options. I think it's better to work towards the 12 and then using support to give you maybe more flexibility in team composition for whatever, this event throws at you in the future. Oh, the other thing I want to say is that we have a level 40 in our alliance, and he could not use any of our supports for the rest of us who are about, 60 or above, which is interesting. We have a level 60 in our alliance, and he could use the level 70 support. So it does scale. He ended up soloing basically the entire thing again with armor. So there is this level scaling, and I do think it is harder for lower levels to like really clear things. I think that's basically it. Good luck. This is an interesting first edition of this. It's 2 weeks, and we're going to be able to maybe clear it in 3 days. And, multiple of these events have ended up like this. I wish things were maybe a little bit harder. I understand that they want to maybe aim for people who are not spending a lot of time on this game, but you don't have to spend a lot of time on this game to be level 70 now and have a decently wide roster of like 6 to 8 or 9 people and do well in this event. We have a lot of free-to-play players in our alliance who can put things together, free-to-play characters, 2 stars, all that, use supports and make a big difference and get this thing down. Let me know if you figured out anything else about the event. I think that's everything I want to cover. Sorry I'm a little bit rambly tonight. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.